Deputy Gerard John Schaefer, born March 25, 1946, died in prison December 25, 1995, due to multiple stab wounds. He murdered 2 to 30 people. Robert Lee Yates, aka the Spokane serial killer, born May 27, 1952, murdered 16 people from years 1975 to 1998. He currently remains on death row at Washington State Penitentiary. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Profile Matters. This is your host, Cameron, speaking. It's a pleasure to be talking to you guys again. I wanted to go ahead and give you a little rundown of those two gentlemen that we will actually, I won't say be discussing, but they will definitely be in the orbit of what we're doing this evening. We're going to try something a little different tonight. Normally we cover a topic and then we just kind of, spread that on out for you. Well, instead of just covering a topic or a person specifically and running through their stories, we're going to talk to someone who has had contact or has indirect contact with both of these gentlemen. The woman that I'm going to be talking to, we are not going to say her name. We will say this. We're just going to call her Kay. All right. She wants to remain private, of course. After you hear this incredible story, you'll understand why. Okay. I sent out a message on Facebook on one of the groups a while back, and got some replies from people who I basically asked anybody who had experiences with serial killers or any kind of moments, near-death experiences, anything like that would like to be on the show, like to be interviewed, Well, I got some replies and things like that, so naturally I, told some people that, we'll do some interviews. About, I don't want to say maybe a day later, I got a message request on Facebook, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the message requests, how they pop up. It shows you have a message request from a person, and it's usually a message tied to the bottom. Well, in this case, there was no message, and I did not recognize the woman who sent me, the message, and I was like, So I waited for a little bit to see if I'd hear anything back after I approved it, and I didn't. So I reached out. Now, Kay replied by saying, I asked, what do I owe the pleasure of this chat request? She replied saying that she saw my request on one of the groups and, she was going to tell me her story but was having second thoughts. Now that kind of lured me in, and then I kind of attached myself to her because I didn't want her to feel shame or feel bad or whatever her story was. I want her, like any of you guys listening or anybody else out there in the world, to understand I'm not in this for money. This isn't gotcha journalism. I'm not into crucify anyone. I'm in it to tell the story. Everybody has a story out there. I just want to help you tell it. That's all. And sometimes I have interesting things that maybe I want to get across to you guys that you guys might agree with. You guys might not agree with. That's the whole point of, freedom of speech. You just kind of talk and just let it flow out. So naturally I latched on and I kind of pressed her a little bit, but wasn't being forceful at all. I just kind of let her know that if she's wanting to tell me, she can. I'm not going to make a federal case out of it or anything. Well, finally she replied, and she explained to me that she is actually the niece of the late Deputy Gerard John Schaefer. To which I was stunned. I was like, okay. And she also said that she is currently involved with Robert Lee Yates, who's currently on death row in Washington State Penitentiary. And when I said involved, I said, what do you mean involved? And she said, well, they're pretty much married. My mind, I don't know what to say. I didn't know what to say at the time, and I certainly did, still now. It was one of those things where I just said, okay, I've got to hear more about this. Not that I thought she was, you know, scary or a freak or, crazy. Not at all. I just wanted to know, how did this happen? Like, you know, curiosity just got the better of me. So we had a very Diane Sawyer type of interview, and I got to talk to her, and it was actually very enlightening and very, I don't know, some people might say moving, some people might say, they didn't find it moving, they thought it was crazy. I mean, but that's the point. We're all entitled to our own opinions. So when I go through this and go through our discussion, I want you guys just to remember, have an open mind. Just listen to what she says, just hear the interview for what it is, exactly that, an interview. I'm interviewing a person who had connections with these two men and asked some very personal questions. I didn't try to put her on the burner because, of course, like I said, this was the first time, and she's never spoken with anybody. She's had requests before. She just said that there was something about me she liked, and she wanted to give it a shot. So I hope you guys sit back and relax and just go into this with an open mind. And again, it's a story. Everybody has a story. I feel like it's my duty to just help them tell it. So I hope you guys enjoy this segment, and I'll be back with you guys at the end after to kind of, wrap everything up. So let's go ahead and slice this thing open and start poking around. All right, guys, be right back.
Well, it's so nice to finally actually talking to you. I should say in person, but kind of in person, over the phone wise. Very cool. Yeah. Well, I'm so sorry that we've had a crazy back and forth because I've been just as busy as you. So
but that's life. Yeah.
It's life. That is so life. Yeah. I'm like that all the time. It's like something comes up and then I have to cancel and I feel so bad. I'm like, oh, she's not forgetting it all. She's helping me out, so it's completely fine. Yeah. Well, are you nervous at all or anything? You shouldn't be, but just curious.
I mean, a little bit because I've never talked about Gerard before publicly or anything like that, so a bit, but it's okay. I can do this.
You can. Like I said, you're strong, and it took a lot of courage for you even to reach out to me the first time. So you got this. And like I said, you don't have to give. Feel like you have to give really detailed responses. Just feel
okay.
Say what you feel comfortable saying. What names do you feel okay with doing?
Well, definitely Rob.
That's perfect.
And Bianchi, I'm fine with doing anything on Bianchi, anything at all.
Okay.
And yeah, and I've had communication with Ridgeway. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot.
Yeah. Like I said, whatever you feel comfortable with the stuff with your uncle. Are you still okay with talking some stuff, or do you want to hold?
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that.
The first part, I guess I'll go ahead and just start these questions off for you. Nothing too crazy. Just can you tell us your credentials? Exactly what what you do for a living, things like that.
Okay. Currently, I'm an embalmer, and I actually have a degree in corrections with a degree that is focused on corrections programming. But I'm an embalmer. Primarily, I'm an embalmer.
Hey, what's that like? I mean, is that an interesting job? I mean, do you see
Oh, definitely. My day is filled with death. But that's what I wanted to do since I was a child, and I love it. Every day I love it. Helping people grieve, dealing with the physical aspect of the whole embalming process. Yeah, I mean, it's my life, and I really do love it.
And that's good. That's what you want. You want to be able to enjoy the job that you have. I mean, does it make you appreciate life a little bit more dealing with someone?
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. I mean, I'm a bit desensitized to death at this point, which would be expected, but yeah.
That's good, though. I mean, not everybody. I don't react the same way to how some people do when people die. So even somebody that's close to me in my family, it weirds my family out. Weirds people that I'm close with out. The only other person that besides you that would understand that, me, as far as acting like that, is my fiance, who's kind of the same way. Everybody deals with death in a different way.
Definitely. And the grieving process, some people don't even grieve too long. It's just individually everybody deals with it differently.
Exactly. Very true. Okay, very cool. Little introduction. So with what you told me about your uncle, can you give me a few details on kind of who he was?
Okay, well, he was born into my family. He had, as he was growing up, he had the signs of psychopathy, killing animals, fires. How can I say this? Treating women inappropriately, girlfriends, etc. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to figure out how to put this as a straight story. In his younger years, they lived in Wisconsin. My family lived in Wisconsin, and then they moved to Georgia. And then in 1971, Gerard became a cop. And after that, I believe that's when his crimes had started. I didn't actually learn about him until 1995 when I was 13 because my family had hidden him from me. There weren't photos of him around the house. There was never talk of him. So I didn't actually learn about him until 4 months before he was killed in prison. But I have studied up on him since then, and quite depraved.
I definitely read some. I mean, when you did you ever get a chance to meet him or talk to him at all?
No, I wanted to because I had known about him a little bit before that. I had known about him through my sister. I had known a little bit about him before that, and I hoped to meet him someday and learn about him. But he got killed, so yeah. I didn't get that chance.
I do want to say I'm sorry for your loss because I know it doesn't matter. A loss is a loss, and family is still family. No matter what the history.
It is. I mean, it is. And people don't want to be accepting of psychopaths, and they don't want to get to know them. But once you get to know them, they're multifaceted. They really are.
I've never been in that exact scenario, but seeing things from the level that I see them at now and learning about all these different stories and these different backgrounds of all these different people and their families and stuff, it is completely not black.
They aren't just monsters. They cannot be classified as that. You can't.
I look at it as, and I mentioned this before and I told you this before, it's an addiction. And I
it is.
Dahmer
after the first kill, it becomes a compulsion and it becomes an addiction, and they really can't stop. They try, but they can't.
You can't. You can only fight it for so long.
It really is all psychological. It is. It's all within the brain.
I know that you said that you're actually married to Mr. Rob Yates. I'm saying that right, correct?
Yes.
And
I guess technically because you can't marry a death row inmate, but at this point we are fully committed. And if I could marry him, I would do it.
In a heartbeat. I gotcha.
In a heartbeat.
Well, I mean, can I ask you, can you give me any details about Rob? I mean, how did this, how did this happen? How did you, correspond and meet each other?
Okay, well, I started emailing him through JPay, and it was actually by accident. A friend of mine had asked me to search him on JPay to see if he had the email. So I did it, and I didn't know that when you clicked on an inmate's name, it sent them a message that you had been added. So the next day I got an email from him. So then we started corresponding, and it was probably 5 months that we were just talking, and then he finally came and he said, I have feelings for you. And it just developed from there.
And as far as, I know, because, obviously he must treat you good. What's the relationship like? I know it must be hard because he's, of course, locked up and everything like that. But what's it like as far as for you? He treats you well, which I imagine he does.
Yes, he treats me very well. He shares everything with me, everything. There's nothing he holds back. It's very deep for me. I miss him when he doesn't call. I feel alone with him, alone without him a lot. I really do. But just hearing his voice every day, being able to talk to him, I don't know. I'm just very deeply committed, very deeply drawn to him.
And as you know, when you met him and you started talking and you knew about, you know, his history, did that ever come up?
No, not at all. Not at all. We do now.
Yeah.
I know everything. I know everything now, but we didn't before. But I know everything now.
So as you
and I don't overlook it. I don't overlook it. I understand it. I don't overlook it.
Of course. I mean,
because a lot of women who marry inmates, they say, oh, well, he's not guilty or whatever. No, I know he's guilty.
Mm-hmm.
I know he did what he did.
Yeah. So
and I don't overlook it. I just try to understand it.
Exactly. So we're not talking.
I'm not Richard Ramirez's wife. I'm not Ted Bundy's wife. Yeah.
You're not Richard.
Oh, he's innocent. No, they're not innocent.
Yeah, no. And see, the moment that you started talking to me, I knew that was an interesting perspective. I'm like, this isn't some lovesick, you know, woman who doesn't know what he's done.
No, I know.
Talked to him, and they've moved past it, like people who love each other are supposed to do or try to do. I mean, I'll say this. It sounds to me like you guys have done the impossible. You've done what some couples who've been married for 20 years and then they have one person has an indiscretion can't even do. That's, in my opinion, I will say that's a little impressive. You know, it
partly because of my upbringing and my uncle, I'm sure.
And I'm sure. And
partly because of that, I'm sure. Because I always tried to understand Gerard, always. And I had a deeper empathy for him. So, yeah, part of that.
Oh. As far as the relationship, I'm sure there's stigma from people. I mean, do you ever get, you know...
Oh, yeah, message on... You see my Facebook,
mm-hmm.
His picture is my cover photo. I get messages, nasty messages all the time. All the time. But I just block those people and go on with my life.
Of course, and move on. Exactly, that's all you can do.
I love him, and that's it. I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't. Sometimes people tell me because, well, the few friends that know I'm in that bloodline, they have told me I'm a psychopath myself, and that's why I'm drawn. But that's not true at all.
No,
it's not.
I don't believe that at all. Because, I mean, you say that, I mean, you have a family yourself, correct?
Yeah, I have 6 children, so...
I mean, I know, being nurturing mother, so, I mean, I highly doubt that.
Yes.
No,
not at all.
No, I've corresponded, you know, before with you know, psychopaths and serial killers and stuff, and I'll be straightforward with you. No, you do not exhibit those types of signs.
No, I'm not. I'm not at all.
And see, that's good though, because this kind of helps set the record straight, and that's what the whole thing with this was about. Was I want people to know if you have a story, you know, and you can't feel like you can't tell it. Sometimes you need someone else to kind of help you tell it. And
not everyone's going to agree with you, but they can listen to you.
Exactly. That's the important thing. Exactly. So that's why I was so glad for you to be on here and that you did reach out. And when you did, and you were kind of hesitant, that's why I kind of latched on.
Yeah, because I've never talked about it before, like, ever, too much, ever.
And it's good because, in a way, talking about anything like this from what I've experienced in my own personal life, and then from what I see happen in other people's lives, talking about it does help. It really does. Getting it kind of off your chest, even for someone that you may not know completely, it does kind of help because you kind of get that little bit of clarity going, okay, there's somebody else who necessarily might not agree with what I'm saying or doing, but they're willing to listen and to just correspond with me and not make me feel like garbage. And that's the whole point, you know. Not everybody's going to agree with you, but if someone will stop and listen to you, just listen, that's all that really matters. So that's what my whole goal with talking to you was about, was just so you knew that there was somebody else.
And I want people to realize, too, that there is shame involved and there is stigma involved.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very hard to overcome. Very, very hard.
I can imagine. I really can. And
Like, I can only imagine what Ted Bundy's daughter goes through. Like, I'm sure people have come at her entire life.
Yeah, I mean, and she's, and I know people have figured out who she is as far as, she's tried so hard, I'm sure, to try to bury that.
Yeah, but she's been found out, and she has a daughter, too, so there's that stigma right there.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it's not fair to cast the sins of someone else onto that person, because they didn't commit those crimes, you didn't do anything wrong. What you're doing now.
Rob's family goes through the same thing. He has 5 children that can't find jobs. He has 5 children that carry that stigma, and it's very difficult for them, for all of them.
And it's wrong, and it's not right. And that's one thing I will say. Generally, I try to not be, opinionated or and not be biased on that. But that's one thing that I do agree upon. And what positive aspects have come up from your relationship with Rob?
Deeper empathy, deeper understanding. Actually, happiness for myself, like I've never known before. There's so much. I don't even know how to explain it in words. I really don't.
That explains it right there by you just saying you couldn't explain it in words because it defies reason. Isn't that what they say?
It does to everybody. Yeah, it defies reason to everybody on the outside who's looking at it.
Exactly. Do you, in your opinion, I know that we kind of sidetracked into this. Do you think everything that you have gone through in life that led you down this path?
Yeah, definitely. That's why I went to Ken Bianchi first.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, definitely. But Bianchi taught me a lot too. A lot.
And I know you said that you also exchanged letters with. Did you talk to Ridgway? You said that you
I have 3 letters from Ridgway back and forth, and after that, he stopped writing me back. He is very reclusive, very, very. But I am proud of those letters that I got. I am. I hold on to them. So
you should be. Those are. I mean, there have been professors, doctors, Nobel Prize winners who try to reach out to him, and he won't talk to them.
Well, I think what it was I opened by sending him photos of my tattoo, and within 2 weeks I received my first letter. And I couldn't find myself corresponding with him too much because he seems to be mentally challenged, if I can say it that way. And there was no interest there.
Yeah.
I couldn't find myself being intellectual with him or anything on any level.
Yeah, and I've heard from other people as well who had the chance to talk to Ridgway. And as far as, who is it? Evan Kemp?
Yeah.
Kemper. There.
I have one from Kemper. I have 1 letter from Kemper from 2000. After that, he never wrote me again.
Never wrote you again. I'm
never
thinking. At one point, I would like to try to reach. I heard that he's intellectual. I know that he has a very high IQ.
Yes, very intellectual, but very reclusive too, just like Ridgway.
Gotcha. Yep. Very. It's hard when people, and I'm sure they must get tons of letters.
Oh yeah.
People trying to do the same thing that I'm doing now, where they're wanting to reach out.
They don't like it when people try to break into them, read their minds. That's what I've learned over time writing to all these people is you have to come at them genuine, tell them your backstory, tell them about your whole life so that they actually feel something coming from you.
Mm-hmm. Give them a little bit of empathy, kind of open up to them, and they'll be receptive to you. What it's like quid pro quo.
Exactly.
Thing.
Exactly.
And give and take. I mean, that's no different than any other relationship people have. Give and take.
Yeah.
So, gotcha. That's definitely something I was wanting to ask you about. As far as in your life, you deal with death on such a constant basis and everything, and it gives you this really good appreciation for life, which I definitely understand. That makes complete sense. Being around it and surrounding yourself with it might seem odd to someone else, but definitely makes sense logically as far as to me, or I'm sure to other people listening, or that will be listening, that when you surround yourself with death, it does kind of give you appreciation more for life because you see what could happen and to deal with that stuff on a daily basis. But
Yeah.
as far as, fears, some people, deal with that all day long, and then their biggest fear in the world is spiders. I mean, do you have do you have a worse fear? I mean, I'm scared to death of spiders. I don't like them. So, I mean, which is crazy because, everybody would think with that kind of background, like, you're not scared of someone breaking your house or a serial killer coming after you. I'm like, well, you look at the statistics. It's a small statistic as it is. I'm like, it's not like it is in the movies. I'm more scared of a spider biting me at the employees and me losing my arm than I am, someone breaking in the home. I mean, for you, what would you say your biggest fear would be?
Wow. At this point, I really don't think I have any. I've thought about that before, and I don't think I really have any. Maybe it's my job that's made me that way. I really don't think I have any.
See, that's impressive because that's what I was kind of getting at, with the whole you dealing with that on the daily basis, because I actually have a friend who, works at a mortuary. I don't talk to him as much as I used to, but I remember one time I asked him that same question. I'm like, do you fear anything now? And he goes, no. He said, if death walked in this room right now and told me it was my time, I would say, hey, will you give me 20 minutes to make some phone calls and we can play a game of chess and then you can take me? I mean,
yeah, because I think death is like the fear of everybody for the most part. And once you deal with it daily, it kind of wears off.
And then things just become kind of trivial as far as the regular fears. No more fear of clowns or, water or in scary movies.
Yeah.
It's all just, and that makes sense. I get that. So I guess, that we pretty much nailed everything that we really needed to talk to. I mean, I just wanted to kind of get, your opinion about everything and what you thought, because,
and thank you. You made me feel comfortable. I've never talked about this stuff before, so you made me feel very comfortable.
Well, good. I'm glad. And like I said, if you, feel free to reach out and we can always talk, privately and whatnot. I can have you back on the show if you, want to do like where we talk about, your expertise and maybe, you can share something in one of the letters you wrote. I mean, anything, as far as like Ridgeway or anybody. I'm more than happy.
Thank you for letting me start small. Thank you very much.
No problem. That was, that was the whole goal. I just wanted you to feel comfortable talking about it. You've
of course.
I normally have to.
And you have a great radio voice. You really do.
I try. Some people are like, you don't have a face for radio. You have a face for TV, but you have a voice for radio.
Yes, you do. But you have a voice for radio. Yeah, that's definitely it.
It's so backwards.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I appreciate it. And, thank you so much for, being on here and for allowing me an interview and everything. I really appreciate it. I know our listeners will, definitely be interested in what you have to say and your opinions on everything. So, again, thank you for, taking that time.
And thank you.
Thank you. Again, no problem. So what I'll do is I'll reach out to you and I'll let you know when everything's done. But, of course,
okay.
You can always message me later and whatnot. But I do appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. You have a great night, okay?
You too.
No problem. Have a good one.
Bye.
Wow. So, again, I'm back. Very intense stuff. I was kind of at a moment in there or towards the end, I didn't really know what else to say because it was one of those things where, what can you say? I mean, you really can't. It's just one of those things where it shocks you, but in a way, the more you think about it, it kind of might make sense as far as psychologically. Like what she said and what we said in there, do you think that what you went through, there later on in your personal life led to you being involved with someone like that now? And, no doubt about it. She said, yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things where take note of it, listen to it, take it for what it is, a story, and move on. I was very glad that she appeared on here. We may have her back. She is very adept in the world of and mindsets of serial killers because she has interviewed and talked to them and written letters to many of them. So we will reach out to her as a source of, why they do what they do. Do they have any reasons to why they make these claims and why they say these things and do these certain, these crimes and criminal activities? Is there a reason why? Is it a disease? Is it something that they can't control? Is it an illness? Is it something that psychologically they just become adapted to trying, and then they like it and then they just can't stop? Is it truly an addiction? There's no way to know for sure. But I will continue to interview people and talk to them about their interactions with killers or their stories, as well as toss out my own theories and objections and opinions on the matter. And again, anyone out there ever has a story or a situation that they've been involved in or something like that, and you haven't been able to tell anybody before for fear of being judged, or you're just not sure how anybody will react, you can start small. Talk to somebody that you care about. Tell them, it's just one of those things. If you ever decide that you want to appear on here and to talk about it, again, I can turn into Diane Sawyer mode and leave investigative journalism mode for 5 minutes. It's fine. I just want to be able to help you tell your story if you have one. That's, again, what I feel like I am accomplishing with these, is just getting the word out, giving opinions, giving my judgments of what I think, but also I want to know what you all think. So, send me comments, comment on these. Tell me if you like the podcast, if you, think I should do something different. If you have a request of something I should cover, feel free to ask. I am more than happy to. We have a website. We've got, several forms of different, media, outreach. So send us a message or send us a comment and just let us know, and we will cover it in our next topic. So, we have an interesting one the next time. I've got one planned out. It's called Killer Culture. The newest one that we're going to do, called Killer Culture, is going to cover the fascination with serial killers or killers in media now, books, murderabilia. I mean, we're going to kind of cover it. We're going to talk to a couple of people that I have actually asked to be on here. I don't want to say as guinea pigs because I'm not doing a social experiment of any kind, but in a way, I guess you can kind of say it might be like that. But I'm just curious. I want to know what they think. What are their opinions about this this phenomenon of killers? Why is it so fascinating, and why is it just now becoming such a thing? So hopefully we can talk to them, and we're going to get some insight, and we'll try to figure it out. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and go. I would like to sit down and enjoy the rest of my evening and sit over here and cuddle up with my dogs, my fiance. So I'm going to go, and I hope you guys have a great evening, and thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Profile Matters. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and can't wait to have you guys back on here and listen in for our next exciting episode. Try to have that in for a couple of weeks, in a couple of weeks, maybe a week or two from now. And again, it's called Killer Culture. So I hope you guys are psyched as much as I am for the episode. All right, I'm out of here. I hope you guys have a great evening. Talk to you later.